Hey everyone. So, I just saw Lord of the Rings War of the Rohirrim, and while it may not be my favorite Middle Earth adaptation, and it is a worthwhile effort, even considering the background out of it being made. Hey, however, before I get into all that, I'm going to just talk about the movie itself, and the film, which takes place it's nearly 200 years before the events of Fellowship of the Ring, and details an event known as the War of the Rohirrim. Um, it features like a power struggle between two former childhood lovers who one wants to bring peace to their kingdoms, and despite this other one's claim they want to unite them, he truly wants to conquer them, no matter what cost brings to itself. And as there any subtext that might entail, I definitely once again implore people to make their own assumptions. The film was directed by Kenji Kamiyama, a figure whose numerous credits include the Ghost in the Shellverse, notably standalone complex TV series. He's the Star Wars Vision short, The Ninth Jedi, which I really loved, and especially the excellent and Blade Runner Black Lotus CG anime, which is canon to live action films, and much like that and Goes in the Shell, this one is definitely adult in the sense of not but the best it can be in terms of writing and tone, not just relying on gore and romance or whatever the Dickens and that Ninja Kami was trying to do. Who to this day I have still not seen that, and I have no plans to. Who and even with the he writes to the books being currently held by their rivals at Amazon and GM. The Jackson verse, consisting of both the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit trilogies in the 2010s, still falls under the umbrella of New Line and Warner's. So, which should make a decent enough of transition for me to talk about the circumstances as it led to that. Though not the first time this happened to one of the Tolkien's works specifically, there was a very strange version of the Hobbit that actually predated the Ronkin Boss version by at least a decade. This one that falls under the distinction of what you might call an ashcan copy, in which you make a work quickly and modestly, so you can keep the rights to the IP. Much as I brought up before with the Corman version of the Fantastic Four. Maybe I'll look at that one when it's to the next reboot coming out, but that's not important right now. What is important is that it was made for a relatively modest $30 million budget, and while there are some instances where there are shortcuts being made, in this movie, the most obvious being in some of the CG backgrounds that makes me wonder if I didn't misplace my PlayStation controller somewhere. But on the whole, traditionally animated parts look solid, if not the flashes I've seen. I don't go in expecting every single anime film I watch to be on the caliber of Ghibli or UFO table, but I'd say the work done by the studio they've employed here is quite solid. I can definitely recognize it as part of the Middle Earth lore, both striking a nice balance between what the book hooks established, since this actually is rooted in the appendices, which are also my omnibus copy, of the book, and the presentation of the Jacksonverse. You'll recognize some of the iconography in there. Most notably, a Thomas cameo from Christopher Lee as Saruman on Achieved with archive footage that he had prepared me, and there was a lot of it he left behind. But it is definitely one that it works on its own merit as well. There were definitely more people in the theater than I watched Craven, and apart from someone going to visit the restroom or check their phone, no one actually left before her it ended. And regards to the other film I talked about, he does finally get his dad back, and the rhino ends up getting stuffed. I just saved you about $10 and a very bonkers 2 hours. So on that one there. And I'm also kind of dubious about this claim about Sony walking back to not being more spin-offs, but that's not important right now. What is important is that it does help prove that maybe there is some market for a more modestly budgeted fare under their umbrella, especially since a number of projects were controversially a shelf for tax write-offs. Fingers crossed about those eventually being leaked online at some point. And in full, since my understanding, some of the more infamous ones I did that to were functionally complete and ready to come out. I'm just glad that other anime Looney Tunes found the Earth Blew Up was able to find a new deal with Mini Major Ketchup Entertainment, so there's that. And even though I'm not doing any coming attractions this evening, and there's factors that I don't feel like bringing up right now or here. Plus, I'm really hoping I'm not getting sick again, and because seeing that has been now less than a week away from Sonic opening, I cannot tell you how much nerd that would suck personally. As someone who's been looking forward to that movie for the entirety of this year and even the past 2 years, to say the least. There's even a lot of aspects that actually would not be make a bad template of the upcoming Zelda movie either. When you look at the light lens, and where even though there's not really a link equivalent that can be easily identified this time around, and the king could easily be like the King Daphnes is the variant I'm most familiar with in those games. There's the redhead girl called Hera could be like our Zelda, and her ex-lover turned sworn enemy Wolf is essentially like our Ganon in his human form. And it definitely earns a PG-13 just fine. That's I could definitely say it is in the ballpark of being a small scale companion to the main films. Where keeping the overall look and feel of them, but in a smaller scale. Rather than having them walk the entirety of the map, you're mostly in one section of it, that where the battle is taking place. Where it has multiple meanings. It's not just a location, a group of people that the Rohirrim represent. As for the discourse, the reception has been mixed, but not entirely negative, I would say. And heck, even like the Prime show has its defenders, or even with how touchy subject that can be, it's kind of reason why I've yet to formally address that, and I'm not sure when I will. Oh, so I don't think the question is if people still care about this material. I mean, clearly they do if they're still willing to be this passionate about it and actually are willing to debate about what it should or should not be included in the lore and what should not or should because they're lore accurate. I mean, like, please, everyone, debate this. And I am low key interested in like the Golem spin-off they're developing, which not only is going to have Andy Serkis as back in the title role, but also is going to be directing, which is well, they're both prospects that intrigue me. I mean, so I can't imagine being worse than that video game, and which ended up being really badly received and ended up shutting down the development arm of that company. Heavyweight, but they have retained work as a publisher instead, so there's that. And overall, I definitely don't regret my time watching it. And given how, as I expected, both this movie and Craven are kind of jostling for a copper right now, with looks like we're set for another three-peat of Moana, Wicked, and Gladiator like I expected. It is very much indeed the calm before the storm that is the Sonic and Mufasa double bill. So there's that. So the bottom line is this. While it may not reach all the heights it aims for, or soaring like an eagle over the keep that would become Helm's Deep, the Lord of the Rings, the Lord of the Rohirrim does manage a nice little cruise who's into the deaths of both Tolkien's work and the Jackson Verse films. So I give it a 4 out of 5, 3 out of 4, and I'm gonna go back to work on my other projects, some of which I may have to bump into 2025. But other than that, that'll be all for now. See you all again soon. Take care, everyone.